This is Chris Morton, and you're listening to The Recovery. So, welcome to this episode, which I'm going to cover my CrossFit Level 1 cert story, where, I'll go over the day that I had up in Brisbane, getting my CrossFit Level 1 certification. Along this journey of starting a gym, it was clear to me that I had to get my CrossFit Level certification, also my certificate, my Fitness 3 and 4 certificate as well, which I did later that year. But I had been thinking for a long time to get my CrossFit Level 1 certification, even if I wasn't going to open a gym. Just wanted to just learn a bit more about CrossFit. This was really sort of a test to see, if I passed getting my CrossFit Level 1, it was sort of just sort of confirmed that, maybe this is the career path I now want to take. So I was age 40 when I took my CrossFit Level 1. So I was probably one of the older guys there. There definitely would have been probably a few guys around that age, but definitely the majority of guys seem to be in their 20s and 30s. And probably the guys in their 20s weren't looking to open a CrossFit affiliate. They were probably more likely just wanting to become a CrossFit coach, whether it was going to be a career for them or just to help out their current CrossFit box. Maybe they've had an interest in becoming a personal trainer. So there's all different reasons as to why someone might go and get that CrossFit Level 1. You might even just be a high-level athlete and you just want to get that certification down. So it's a 2-day course, and it's pretty much all practical. And on the second day of the course, you sit down and have a 50-question closed book exam. So that's sort of the only theory part of the actual day. So I had heard a little bit about getting a CrossFit Level 1, done lots of sort of YouTubing and seeing what they do there. And then had looked online, the main site of CrossFit, and just sort of see, where can you actually go and get your certification? I think there was a place in Melbourne, Sydney, and then in New Zealand, and also in Brisbane. So the main one, I guess, for Queenslanders or people from Northern New South Wales, is that an option is to go to the one in CrossFit Brisbane. I went, yep, I'm going to do it. I think it was in January 2019, and I signed up and locked myself in for that weekend. I think either late November in 2018 or in December. So I'd said to myself, this is gonna really basically see how bad I want it. Go and do this weekend and actually even see if I actually can get my CrossFit Level 1 certification. And then once you have that, that's where it can all start for you, the next step. And if you wanted to actually run a CrossFit box with CrossFit in your gym name, the first step is that you have to have a CrossFit Level 1. And once you have a CrossFit Level 1, then you can apply to CrossFit HQ. They'll see that you've got your Level 1, and they'll ask you a few questions as to why you want it, what you plan to do, your background, and then you have to then submit 3 names that you want to have your CrossFit gym named. But anyway, so going back to the CrossFit Level 1, so I booked it, and it was going to be in January 2019, this weekend in CrossFit Brisbane. It was actually a really, really, I remember it being like a both days were like 34, 35. It was a really hot, and we're in a CrossFit box. There was, so it's run by, I guess they call them CrossFit seminar staff, and there's a head guy there, and then it has like 4, I guess, assistants, and they all take different turns of, I guess, like a 2-hour session of different areas within the CrossFit model. And then you break out into probably, the 4 different groups. So there's 4 seminar staff. So you break out probably groups of like 8 or so. So I think we had about probably like 40 guys there, 30 to 40 guys that were sitting at CrossFit for that particular weekend. So there was a guy named, so I didn't know any of these trainers, didn't know them from a bar of soap, and I've come to now know that they're actually, I guess what you call like CrossFit OGs, like basically been in the game since the inception of CrossFit, definitely in terms of the Australia branch of CrossFit. So there's a guy named Matt Swift, was the head seminar staff trainer, basically the big wig of CrossFit education, probably in Australia. There might be guys with equal qualifications in Victoria or Sydney, I wouldn't know. A lady named Kate Gordon, who I did not know who she was. Another guy called Lachlan, actually don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but Lachlan Lurge. And there's actually another guy, he was a Scottish guy, but he had like a really dark skin, looked sort of indigenous. I can't remember his name, really nice guy. So these were the 4 guys that were basically going to be pushing us through the weekend. And it's a sort of a bizarre experience, I'm 40 years old, I've been doing IT for about pretty much my whole life, 20 years or so, and here I am, trying to get my CrossFit Level 1. But I just had to think of the big picture. So like for me, like my big plan picture is not to be a trainer day in, day out. I would immediately want to run my gym where I'm behind the scenes working on the business, not in the business, and want to build a team of awesome trainers in electric fitness. And I just sort of sit in the background helping with like all the other areas of a CrossFit box. I just felt like in my experience that too many CrossFit owners are owners/head coach, and they're doing all the hours. So they might be doing 4 or 5 classes a day, and it takes up a lot of your energy, a lot of your time, and you've got no chance to break out and actually think about how you're going to grow the business, how you can make the client experience better. You got to look at the books, you got to do tax returns, money coming in, money going out. There's a lot that has to be done, and if you're stuck in being a head coach and doing all the hours, I don't know how you can actually have a family life maybe outside of that. And I knew, like, I had a young family. I didn't want to be stuck doing all the hours. I love coaching. I think it's awesome. It's great. But at my age, it's not where I fit in the picture. Like where I see I fit is that I am able to, I guess, have the capital, the funds, the entrepreneurial spirit to get a gym in my local area up and running to a very, very high standard. And you need a lot of help along the way. And if you try and do it all, you're just never going to get anywhere. So I knew straight away that, I'll be building a team of coaches. That was always, I had to do that. But I also have to get a bit of a background and get some qualifications as well. So here I am in the CrossFit course in day one, and there's a lot of stuff there that it was actually really different to what I thought CrossFit was. So this was like, because when you go out to the real world and you join a local CrossFit box, it's basically that coach's interpretation of CrossFit in terms of their programming, in terms of their personality. They might outsource their programming. They might do the programming themselves. There might be more of a strength and conditioning place, and they just use like touches of CrossFit in there. Whereas this is like going back to how it all started, and this is like a rinse and repeat. Everyone that comes through and doing your CrossFit Level 1, you're all seeing the same education material where they touch on nutrition pieces, they go over basically, I think it's like 6 foundation movements. So you don't cover every single CrossFit movement. You're just basically touching on the basics and how to, I guess the basic steps of how to do or teach these movements to others and what to look for, the cues, the common faults and the points of performance is what they really, I guess, highlighted. Whereas, that was like, I hadn't ever thought of it. I just thought you'd go there and like, this is the deadlift, this is a power clean, this is a pull up. But they were, really broke it down into how to teach these things and what to look for in points of performance and where to see common faults are. So that's all. If you're interested in doing it, that's what you got to really be good at, is looking at points of performance, and common faults, and how you can, when someone's doing a movement, how you can correct them, and also not to flood someone that's new to maybe CrossFit with maybe they're doing 3 things wrong, not to flood them with all the 3 things and get him to correct them. You might just correct one for today, and then maybe next week you might correct the next one for that particular person. So you're becoming a coach. So it's all that sort of stuff is in the education, which is it's really good. So and then this is sort of, I guess, where I really became impressed by Matt Swift and how he was delivering the course. Like, I wish I had come across Matt Swift earlier in my life, because just the way he would handle questions from us guys in the audience, just the way he handled himself, way he could like articulate all the education across to us, just really impressive. Just really impressive to see that sort of level of person is out there as a role model. So if you ever get a chance, I would highly recommend Googling some Matt Swift stuff or jump on his Instagram, some old YouTube videos. He's actually also been to the CrossFit Games in a Masters division and actually won the whole thing. So he has a Masters title, which is incredibly impressive. And it's sort of like someone who I can look up to, because I think he even got into CrossFit maybe in his late 30s, early 40s, and was an IT professional as well. So he made a massive switch in his belief system and what he wanted to do with his life. CrossFit really had changed him. Like for me, that was like, if I can just do an eighth of what that guy's done for what he's done for CrossFit Brisbane, if I could do that for electric fitness here on the Gold Coast, or go towards that, I would be a very happy man. I think at one point, like, his CrossFit box was just over. They had like hundreds of members, where it actually got out of control. There's actually an old Mind Muscle Project episode, I'll link it in, where Lachlan and Raph are interviewing Matt Swift. I think it was one of their first podcasts, actually. They started in the CrossFit area, and they're just talking about how Matt actually had to shut down his CrossFit box and get back to basics, and try and actually just invite people back that he wanted to have as members, because it was just getting out of control. I think even back there, he recognised that they were going too much into like CrossFit as a sport, and focusing all on trying to be elite and get back to just everyday people, just trying them to move better, drop some body fat, put on some muscle, just be a healthier person. Day one, you sort of just go through your breakout, and I think you might learn a front squat, and it's all done with a PVC pipe as well, which is actually extremely challenging to try and hold a front squat in perfect form at the top and at the bottom. It's really awesome. And also you start doing like some little mini workouts where you've actually got to start cueing your fellow guys in the course. Then at the end of day one, we did a partner workout, and I think they used to do Fight Gone Bad, but they stopped that I think a while ago because it's like it's like 5 stations, so it's 5 different movements within the workout. If you've got like 40 guys in the gym, there's probably just too much stuff flying everywhere. So they just kept it really basic. It was a partner workout with thrusters and burpees. So I was like, oh great, thrusters, not one of my best movements. My form's not going to look that good. And yeah, so I have a bit of a problem with my right wrist. I think just years of like being in front of the computer, I get a bit of a claw RSI type thing, and I got a lot of scar tissue build up, and also my shoulders are quite tight and my chest gets quite tight, and for holding a front rack can be quite challenging for me. I have to be really nice and loose, but I like to go like a suicide grip on my thruster. It just frees up my grip a bit more, and I feel like I can get a bit of a front rack there. When I wrap the thumb around it, sometimes it's just through my wrist, because I've actually also broken both wrists playing rugby. I've broken both scaphoid bones, and it's like the worst bone to break because it's like a blood vessels or a vein, and it goes through there. If that doesn't heal properly, you can have circulation issues. So my wrists never really feel particularly good. A bit stiff and achy at points. So I was into my turn. I was doing my thrusters, and Matt Swift he came up, but the way he came up, they were trying to highlight the energy that you need to portray when you're in your workouts. And you can see across the room, you're just looking, you're scanning, and then when you see someone where you can like maybe give them a cue, you can call over across the room or go up to them, let them keep doing their workout, but hey, release your fingers a bit more for that front squat, or try and get a bit more depth. And he was like, he let me do my thrusters, and when I tagged out, he's just like, oh hey mate, I saw you. Really encourage getting your grip around the bar. It's going to give you more control on that bar, especially at the top. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I have this problem with this and that. He goes, just give it a go next time, and you'll find that you'll have better grip on that bar when you're pushing it overhead. It won't slip out. I'm like, no problems. But yeah, just the way he delivered it, it was just awesome. He just it brought me back to like my rugby days when you really want to play for a coach. There's some coaches that you just don't like at all, or you just think they're dickheads or whatever. I don't. I'm generally a person where I give everyone a heck of a lot of respect, but I definitely know I've had teammates that it's in their personality that they won't care. If they don't like someone, they'll go out of the way just to say stuff. But yeah, there's definitely coaches that do get respect, like when I was playing rugby, and then coaches that you really want to play for and win for. And he's the sort of guy, like if he was my coach, if I was like at his CrossFit Brisbane, I would know every day. I just could not wait to get to that place and learn from him, just the energy that he was bringing. So yeah, we've got into day 2. It's the morning sort of the same, and then the afternoon you have I think it's 2 hours they give you to do 50 closed book questions, and it's a little bit stressful. So I think there is an example. So you actually get sent out a CrossFit manual, and I highly recommend you actually study that probably like for 6 months to 3 months before taking the course, and know that inside out, and do the example questions, because you won't get the exact same questions, but you're going to get the format that they're doing, the multiple choice. There'll be questions in there that are like a diagrammed a diagram format where you're like spot the faults, or might be is this sequence correct for a pull-up, or what's the point of performance, and it's just a diagram. There'll be questions on, so they I think it must be still the same, their nutrition component is the zone diet, and they touch on a bit of paleo as well. So there'll be questions there on that, and even some questions to do with, I think, physiology and the body as well. So I don't actually know how many questions you need to get to actually pass your CrossFit, or it might be in certain sections you might need to get like, 7 out of 10 in like the practical component of movements or the points of performance, 5 out of 10 for nutrition. I think they even break it down like that from memory as well, saying how it's going to be scored. And if you actually fail the exam, you don't have to do the whole weekend again. You can just basically come in the next time they are doing a whole weekend, but just come and sit the exam. So we actually had a few guys rock up just for that. So obviously they'd done theirs in a previous time and they'd failed it. But yeah, like I made sure, like I studied the manual probably month leading into it. I just took a couple of hours each day just to go over like the pull-up sequence, the deadlift sequence, power cleans sequence, front squat, and just made sure that, I knew points of performance, spotting the faults, all these sort of things. And when I got into the exam, there was definitely, I reckon there was probably 2 questions I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm just guessing. And then there's I think there's one that I changed on later. Like I reviewed it and I'm like, no, I've got that wrong. I've changed it. I'm like, oh, should I have changed it? But you just got to like, all right, that's it. Hand it in and just hope that you've done enough to pass this. And then, I think maybe a month later, it just comes in your email and I had passed. I actually wasn't that confident. I thought that I'd maybe got too many of the questions wrong. But I passed. And then I think when you pass, you're just like, okay, yep, that's another step on my journey to opening up a gym. And I think with that in my back pocket, I'm like, there's nothing holding me back. I just have to keep going forth on my journey to open up a gym. I'd met this guy, Matt Swift. I started to Google around a bit about his journey and how he got into where he's now, CrossFit seminar staff, has CrossFit Brisbane, hundreds of members, highly successful place. This seemed to be the right thing to do. It's going to be good for the community. It's going to be good for me. I think it's just going to be a really good fit. That sort of covers my CrossFit Level 1 story. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next episode.